I like this plan.
Hey gang, welcome back to the Blue Goo Review. This time we're going over episode 4, or CQB. Hey, everyone say hi to the little kitten in there. And
That's Shinzon, my boy. And I'm Victor. I'm your co-host here on the Blue Goo Review. We are back, and today we are doing CQB. What I think is possibly Close Quarter Battle is what it stands for in the show. But
Right.
yeah, this is one of the best episodes of The Expanse, I think. It's definitely up there in like the top, I think on top of everyone's top 10 list. This is the one that really drew me in. Like I was invested in The Expanse, but after this episode, I was fully invested when I first saw it.
They did a really good job of mixing the first couple of episodes to give you a lot of world building and prep you for kind of where you are and the beginnings of what's going on, and then locking you in with this episode.
Yeah. A while back, I put up a poll on Dominion Media Television asking what's your favorite space battle in The Expanse, and overwhelmingly, this episode was the number one pick, the Doninger battle.
Yeah.
Which, I like it. It's good. But overall, the episode, on the last time on podcast that I co-host on, when we were covering The Expanse, we went back and we watched the rewatch of the best episode. I picked a different one because this one is still early in the series, and it's still some of the acting is still slightly flat. But I think it's because we don't know the characters quite as well.
Yeah.
We did the season 2 episode with the what's it called? Thoth Station, the raid on Thoth Station. I think that's the best space battle, but that's just because we know the characters a little better and there's more at stake here.
Well, I think you also have to keep in mind that for a space battle, this is very limited, right?
Yeah.
Our perspective is because it's not about, we know who these attackers are. We're going to see this space battle out. This is a dogfight and they don't know what they're getting into. It's really like from the perspective of our main characters, which is like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, they've got absolutely no control over the thing here. Yeah,
we get some outside perspective of that battle, but some of the future battles, especially when they get a bigger budget for the show, are just a lot more spectacular in terms of that visual quality.
Yeah.
This is a great battle in terms of the drama of being in battle, more than it is a spectacle to watch.
Right. Yeah. Our heroes here are just along for the ride. They've got no control over this battle whatsoever. They're just, the majority of it, they're stuck in that little room.
Yeah, and for a long time, Holden is strapped into that chair, and he's like fingerprint locked in by Lopez.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get into it. So this episode opens up.
Well, let's do our pre-show.
Right. Pre-show time.
All right, so let's dive into these pre-show questions here. So, getting to know us. So, you are the head writer for season next of your favorite Star Trek series. Or if you choose a new Star Trek series, what is the series/season about?
See, I've thought about this a lot, and it's tough because there's two places I want to go if I were to do a new Star Trek series. I wouldn't want to continue an old one. I would want to start something new, and I would either want to do what fans call the Lost Era, which is like the time in between
Enterprise C.
Yeah, the time in between Undiscovered Country and Next Generation. I would love to have something about we have to do a completely new crew. Like I would love some stuff focused on Sulu. You could do a Captain Sulu series.
Yeah, an Excelsior series.
Yeah, but it would be like
leading into an Enterprise C series with Rachel Garrett.
That would be dope. That would be dope because like during that time period, there's you could do a real Cold War type thing.
Yeah.
Because when we last saw that era, there was this uneasy peace with the Klingons, and the Romulans. And Romulans, yeah. And the whole, there's a project I've mentioned before on Dominion Media Television I'm working on. It's a comic that I hope to turn into a movie one day. And it's going to be about Sulu, and it's going to take place after the events of Undiscovered Country, after the opening of Generations, where, you know, Kirk gets lost in the Nexus. It'll be focused on Sulu as a captain and Uhura captaining her own ship. And it'll be in the wake of the whole Khitomer conspiracy from the Undiscovered Country. Like, they're having an uneasy peace with the Klingons, but it's still very unstable, and there's still elements of those who participated in the Khitomer conspiracy who want to start a war between the Federation and the Klingons, and it's largely the Romulans pulling the strings, because that's what they do.
And maybe, and just giving you some seeds also, now that the Federation has access to Klingon space, in at least a diplomatic regard, maybe they can start sending some exploration ships through Klingon space. Maybe the Klingons are like, dude, there's some fucking weird shit over in the corner that we've just been, like, ignoring for a while. If you guys want to go check that out, like,
do some of those type of weird shit episodes, where they find, you know, a giant floating green hand or some shit.
Right. Well, and then you have a lot of Federation space at this point started being on the other side of the Beta Quadrant. On the other side of Klingon space, there's Federation-held planets and territory over there. It really makes no sense when you look at the map, but it's when you start realizing that they were allowed to go through Klingon space now, well, then it starts to make sense, and that's maybe you could lay in some of the groundwork for that.
And, you know, I always wanted to see more of the Klingons and the Romulans and their empires, because, I mean, like the Federation, there's no way all of Romulan space and all the Klingon space is filled with just Klingons and Romulans. They must have conquered other worlds. They have other races, and that's something I like about Star Trek Online, is they show when the Klingons, the Klingon Empire also consists of, like, the Orions, the Nausicaans, and all that shit. They're all ruled by the Klingon Empire. But
and that leads me to one of my coolest theories, and this has been it's not canon possible, basically, with how they've done things like Discovery and some other projects like Enterprise that did this stupid friggin' Klingon human augment virus.
Oh, that was perfect, dude. Shut up. That was the way they fixed that plot hole was
it wasn't
perfect.
A plot hole. It was a tongue-in-cheek joke that Deep Space Nine made because of production costs.
Right, but Enterprise made it work.
Ruined.
With the augment virus, that was genius. That was the best thing Enterprise did.
They literally combined what O'Brien and Bashir said in an episode of Deep Space Nine in Trials and Tribulations. What? Oh, what was it? Was it a virus? Some sort of genetic mutation? Oh, let's just smack those two little things together and make Enterprise.
Perfect.
No.
It's perfect.
I'm going to tell you what's perfect. This is what's perfect. The Klingon Empire was basically analogous to the like Genghis Khan and the because, like, that whole empire was based on we conquer an area, we kill a lot of the men, we impregnate a lot of the women. The next generation becomes our next generation mixed with their heritage. Now they have no real choice but to become a part of us, and we all like it, and it's a fucked up way.
It's fucked up. It's realistic, and I'm glad they didn't go that way, because that would have been a little too much, I think.
That would fit with the Klingon code and everything that we know about
that would fit.
And
I'm still
it would
glad they didn't go that way.
Why the Klingons that were fighting the Federation looked like humans? It was because the Klingons had conquered several human-populated worlds and then bred a hybrid species that they were using as cannon fodder and frontliners in this battle, in this constant battle against the Federation.
Oh, that still wouldn't have worked, because in Deep Space Nine, the three, Kang, Kor, and the other guy came back, and they came back with full
Klingon, which I love those characters, and especially how they were portrayed in Deep Space Nine, which is funny because they have more screen time in Deep Space Nine than they do in the original series.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, It's hysterical. But, you know, and that's okay. Like I knew that this wasn't going to be a canon fit anyway, because it is a bit too extreme for a franchise like Star Trek, which tries to be family friendly. And so, you know,
little
having
much,
mongrels going around raping women and impregnating them is not like the best fit. But maybe they could, like, maybe they courted them. Maybe they were very polite. And
they were very polite.
Sorry, I killed your
marauders.
husband, and he was a dishonorable targ. I'm way stronger than that guy.
Yeah.
Watch me lift this shuttlecraft, and then, you know, do feats of physical strength to impress the women. I don't know.
Sure. Anyway,
so,
the other idea I had for a Star Trek series would take place. Try to do what Picard did, but better. Take place in the era after Voyager. Yeah. But then again, it's already done and kind of already done at Star Trek Online. But I would love to see a TV series, Star Trek Online time series. I know it's not canon at all.
Well, some people claim it is, and because it's officiated by certain elements of Picard and Discovery.
Yeah, some of the shit in Star Trek Online is way fucking out there. Yeah, so there's no way it could fit in.
So, but the funny thing is, before Picard, before Discovery went to the future, and I was very much playing Star Trek Armada 2 a lot.
Ooh, that's a great game.
As many of us did, because it is a great game. There's a lot of awesome mods. It's an easy game to mod, which was a lot of fun for me. So I created a mod in my, like, post-Discovery obsession with Deep Space Nine that basically would fit into that same time period as Picard, but we'd have to, I mean, a lot of what happens in Picard is fairly isolated to his life, which is nice. Yeah. But basically, I would continue Deep Space Nine, and this is what the mod that I made. I do have a copy if anybody wants to finish it, because there's some things, but it's a working version. It might need to be balanced a bit. But basically, we shoot 20 years into the future, and the Bajor never joined the Federation. Right. After the Dominion War, Cardassia was in shambles, and they didn't want Klingons, the Romulans, or the Federation to come and take advantage of that. So Garrick, being one of the few high-ranking, knowledgeable, and highly experienced, and just liberated his fucking planet, so he's got a lot of clout, he goes, okay, this might sound like an unpopular idea, but what if we ask the Bajorans to take over administration of our empire?
Ooh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
So they form what they call the Bajoran Union, where Bajor takes over all Cardassian space. Yeah. They get the Klingons and the Federation and the Romulans out of every corner. They're like, hey, get the fuck out of here. We're sweeping you away. The Federation has no choice but to respect them and also enforce their wishes along to help keep the Klingons and Romulans out. And then Kira becomes a general, and she's the one. She was Garrick's contact. Garrick's like, I'm gonna hit up someone who's pretty influential in the Bajoran military, and we're gonna make this happen. So Kira is at the focal point, and basically like one of the leading generals of this union. And then, so after Voyager returns, Chakotay says, all right, this has been a lot of fun, but I'm still not really in line with the Federation values post the Maquis, what happened to the Maquis.
Yeah, they got wiped out by the Dominion, yeah.
I would like all Maquis prisoners to be freed. I'll take them back to our former colonies, and we're going to restart our colonies with everyone that we can and anyone who would like to come and join us and live in the Maquis nation, right? So the Federation and the Bajoran Union both approved the stamp of the Maquis nation being formed. They start developing those colonies again. They build an infrastructure, but as time goes by, people start disappearing. Farmers, people, I'm missing, people who ship carriers and freight kind of business people start disappearing, and it's starting to become noticeable. So the Maquis say, okay, we don't have the technology to protect ourselves. We don't have the resources to build all of these ships anymore. Now that we can't morally steal them from the Federation and start because we're not at war with the Cardassians. So we don't have a justification to take those advantages, but we need to protect ourselves. So they look at the Cardassian, or they look at the Bajoran Union and say, we would like to petition for membership in the Bajoran Union, which is kind of sensational to think about because they're basically joining the Cardassians in a new type of Federation-ish organization. But because of the Bajorans, they're able to reconcile the two sides and say, guys, this is for the benefit of stability of the area, because maybe some Cardassians have been disappearing too, right? And so come to find out that it's the Breen. The Breen are kidnapping not Bajoran, but the Maquis and some Cardassians and Bajoran when they can find them, and Federation when they can find them, people, so they can use their organic matter to clone a new species of Jemadar, because they get some of the technology at the end of the war. They shipped off a chunk of cloning technology and shipbuilding materials with Dominion designs and all of those kinds of things. And so without the Founders, without the Dominion, the Breen and engineering this war machine. And they're ready to fucking start going out in real force, and now going to war and claiming more territory.
The Breen were one of my favorite villains ever. I'm glad we got to see more of them.
I hated what Discovery did with them.
I thought it was okay. It was
okay. But it fucks up my theory about them, in that they're a coral species, right?
Coral?
So like a coral reef. Right?
Ew, gross.
It makes sense because they would live in the lining of the suit. It's not a refrigeration unit, it's a hydration unit. And they use the suits to make other species think that they're bipeds. But they're not. And that's why no one's ever seen one, despite the fact that we've seen them be knocked out and their suits been stolen. Because they open up these suits and there's nothing inside them. So they're like, what the fuck? All right, well, I'm going to use this suit. They don't even know that they have a fucking involuntary hostage Breen along for the ride.
It's so gross, man.
So the last part of the mod that I made and the story is that Chekhov was able to get that drug from that TNG episode where the Admiral, super youngifies himself.
Yeah.
He gets some of that and uses it properly. So he becomes a young, healthy man again.
Okay, so you bring back young Chekhov. Interesting.
Admiral, and he says, okay, we have an emergency crisis. We have the Breen are going hard against, they're taking Federation colonists, Maquis colonists, Cardassian colonists. They're interceding ships that they can find and take over. We need to do something about this. So he requisitions a mothball fleet from the original series, Lost series, or the Lost era, right? And they refit them with newer technology so that these ships are badass, because they don't have to manufacture the entire ship. They can just refurbish all these old ships in these junk
put new phasers on them and stuff like that.
Right. New torpedo bays, new warp coils, all these things. And then this is why it's a great Armada 2 mod, because now you have Admiral Chekhov as a playable avatar, and all of these. So we got General Kira. What do I have? Garrick. He's a spy master. Agent Garrick. Major Chakotay and Admiral Chekhov, all as playable avatars, all with different ship options, all with different economies and prices on manufacturing ships.
Yeah,
it was a fucking cool mod. All right, anyway.
Dude, send me the link to this shit, because I doubt I don't know, maybe this laptop could run Star Trek Armada, but that sounds pretty awesome.
Probably.
Dude. I love that shit.
Mean, it's such an old game at this point, but I will repackage it in a distributable format.
Awesome.
All right, so that was a really long question number 1 to answer. Now question 2, what if? Where would Dave Lister and Lando be if they were on the Donegal, and what would they be doing when the attack started?
Yeah, I think it would be a lot of the same from the last episode for Dave Lister, unfortunately, but I could just see him. I'm going to say that he is sheltering his cat Frankenstein during the attack, and he makes Frankenstein a little makeshift spacesuit. So, well, he would have had a spacesuit for Frankenstein already, because if he was on the lifeboat, the shuttle night, while they were trying to figure out how to survive, he would have had to make a little spacesuit for his little kitty.
A carrier box, a sealed.
Yeah. Oh, a box. Yeah, that works. So yeah, when the shit hits the fan and they have to get off the Donger and make it to the Tachi, he's just out there holding his cat, and like there's explosions going on behind him, and he's like, "Like it!" and he's got his kitty in his arms. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say for this episode. What about you? What's Lando up to?
Lando's in the cargo bay. Lando's like, oh, let's see what we can get off of this sucker, huh? Because he actually has the ship that's secretly docked somehow over on the side of the thing. Yeah. Or there's another life pod, not as fancy as the Tashi, but, just a little something. And he's like, all right, let's see what I can get that I can sell at Ceres Station, because Papa needs a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, the Donager is supposed to be able to hold at least two of the Tachi-sized vessels, and it's cargo hold.
That docking bay was certainly large enough to fit like 3 or 4 of them.
Calm down,
so
Daisy.
They probably are supposed to have 2 at all times, and then so they can receive 2 other shuttles at any point in time and launch 2 short-range missions if they need to. Yeah. But I love the design of those smaller. I mean, what would you even call that? It wouldn't be a frigate. It would be.
Wait, which ones were you saying?
It would be a cruiser.
It's a Corvette class light frigate. Corvette. I'm a huge starship nerd. Like I deep dive into all this shit. But yeah,
I love it.
I think it could hold 4, maybe. What was it? Hang on. Because it says it could hold. Each berth can hold 1 Corvette or 1 Morrigan-class patrol destroyer. That doesn't sound right. That I think can hold up to at least 4 Morrigan-class patrol destroyers. Those are the really tiny ones.
Yeah.
The Tachi is pretty badass, though. But yeah, I love the specs on the fucking Donager. I mean, if I could, there are some YouTube channels that go into a deep dive of the specs of the Donager, but I'm just gonna lightly touch on this. This fucking ship, unloaded, weighs 254,000 tons. That is 250,000 tons of Martian fuck you, man. That is one. I fucking love the Donager, dude. It is one of my favorite spaceships ever. I mean, it could not stand up to any of the iconic ships, from like Star Trek or Star Wars, because their technology is way more advanced. But this thing, is something
against Halo, against the UNSC.
No, Halo's got faster than light travel and shields and shit. So the Donager is something that could, if you had unlimited funding, if I was Elon Musk and not a douchebag, I have the money and the resources to build a fucking Donager. It's possible with the technology we have right now. But
we don't have those cool gravity boots, though.
Well, they're just magnets, I guess.
Yes, they could. Yeah.
But that would require a lot of power. You'd have to wear
the batteries for that would be like the size of the boot itself.
Yeah, I think you'd have to wear a backpack that would have a bunch of lithium-ion batteries in it running to the electromagnets in your boots, and they would have to be really big boots, like big stompy boots.
Yeah, like iron boots from Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, you look like Mega Man,
Yeah.
with these giant things.
Well, I mean, they do kind of look like Mega Man when they're in they're all suited up.
Yeah. But anyway, the armament on the Donager, dude. It has up to 51. There's differing
configurations.
facts here, depending on which source you go to, whether a source book or the ship or the counting the guns on the ship. But this thing has anywhere between 43 and 51 point defense cannons. Now, those are the smallest guns.
Yeah.
Right?
Those are the
And
ones
these things
the
fire
torpedoes.
40 millimeter rounds in the fucking miniguns.
Yeah.
Now, to put that in perspective, the A-10 has a 30 millimeter cannon.
Yeah.
And that is, I've done the math. That's 10 whole millimeters bigger
Yep.
than the A-10. And it's got fucking 51 of those bitches. Like, holy shit. Those are the smallest guns. Then it has 6 forward torpedo bays, 8 aft torpedo bays. God, I forget. It says here somewhere how many torpedoes it actually packs, but it's a fucking shitload. And can carry up nuclear warheads in those torpedoes. But the main thing, the main attraction,
the railguns.
is 2 VX-12 faux hammer ultra heavy railguns. They're called faux hammers.
Oh, hammer.
That is badass. And each of these railguns are they're longer than the fucking Rocinante itself. Like,
Yeah.
dude, they're massive. But one of the coolest things about the design of this ship is if you pinch and zoom on the Donager on screen, you can see it's got 2 of these massive railguns, but on the other side, on each opposite side of the Donager, because it's kind of built like a square, like a pyramid, on the opposite sides, there are mounting hardpoints for 2 more. So it was designed with upgrades in mind. Like in this episode, when we see them fire the railguns, it drains a lot of power.
Right, I was about to say.
Yeah, so it would not be
that power issue.
Yeah, if they so the Martians built this with upgrades in mind, so we could have 2 more of those massive fucking railguns.
Jesus,
that is dope. But that's unfortunate because later in the series, we find that the newer Martian ships, they steered away. They started getting rid of railguns, which unfortunately kind of makes sense because railguns are only useful at short range.
Right.
Because at longer ranges, they're easy to dodge. So the Martian military doctrine, they shifted more towards building torpedo boats that could pack a shitload more torpedoes than you think a small ship would be able to, and they just overwhelm their target with torpedoes. Because eventually they'll just run out of PDCs and countermeasures, and once your magazines are empty, there's nothing you can do. You just die. And torpedoes are more effective at way longer range, which didn't make sense to me at first until I thought about it some more.
Becomes more of an artillery-based vessel.
So, which is just unfortunate because, they're not practical, but railguns are fucking badass.
But you got to figure out, I mean, the thing to figure out, and I think they probably were using some of the blue goo technology to power the short-range, the small miniaturized railguns that the attack vessels had on them. Because they were like, during the battle, they're like, dude, ships this small.
Yeah, they do
not have railguns. Yeah. And they were small, miniaturized railguns.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that is one of those things that only works once. Like with these ships, they have the element of surprise. You don't think they carry railguns, and all of a sudden they have a fucking railgun. That'd be like what would that be like in real life? That would be like an infantry platoon coming across another infantry platoon, and these infantry guys have cruise missiles somehow. And that only works once, because once you know that these ships have railguns, you're not going to let them get within railgun range again.
Right.
You're going to blow them up before they get that close.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. The whole reason those ships... Well, okay, let's get into the episode, actually, before I spoil the whole battle.
We got and it's a quick question, the trivia question.
Oh, trivia question. Hit me with the trivia.
In this episode, there is a character named Busy Batico.
Busy Batico, yeah.
What does Busy Batico mean?
Oh, that I have no clue. It means something?
It's Basque for live forever. So Basque...
No way!
In between France and Spain... that used to be its own country, but has since kind of, at least administratively, become a part of either France or Spain.
Okay.
And so that's what it means in Basque is live forever. Busy Batico.
That's
Live
dope.
forever. All right, let's dive into
Let's
the
dive in. CQB. We open. Where do we open? Let me get my notes back up. I think we.
Christian Avasarella.
Are you sure? I thought we opened in the morgue.
Well,
Hang
on
on.
my synopsis from the Expanse Wiki.
Yeah, let me just restart. I got the episode going on the TV in the background here.
Yeah.
We open up on series with Miller standing over the body of, quote, Busy Batico in the morgue. Because last episode, he found this guy's corpse in the aftermath of one of the riots on series. And this was the guy she found because he grabbed Julie's phone and her computer or whatever, and well, I guess it wasn't her phone. He just got into her computer login or whatever and found her Tinder account, her space Tinder.
Space Tinder.
And, yeah, this guy was a match that she met up with this dude. So he was trying to locate him, but Miller found him and he's dead. And this scene with
the doornail.
Yeah. This opening scene with the mortician, I guess.
Yeah.
I fucking love this guy.
Oh, we need some fertilizer down on level 6. You mind if we recycle this guy? And he's like, dude, fucking hold off for a second.
Right. I love this shit. Dude, this is one of the things that makes this show so great is all the rich background characters. Like, we only see this guy once, but he's so memorable.
And he's talking about, you know what the life expectancy on Earth is? It's like 120 something. He's like, you know what it is on Tycho Station or on Sirius Station?
Yeah,
68.
Yeah.
And
he's
then
like, he looks him up and down. Hey, I'm sure you're younger than you look.
Younger than you look. Which is such a foreshadow of how Miller's life kind of ends out. Which is, I just thought was really a cool little like, oh, that's some foreshadowing that you might not have actually caught the first time you watch it.
Something interesting I recently found out that would require, so for Belters to actually survive in space requires some space magic. Because I just recently read that NASA astronauts, like on the ISS and everything, they have to exercise for like 2 hours daily.
Yeah.
They have to. Otherwise, you start forming blood clots and shit.
Yeah.
So you would just literally just pass out. You're just sitting there at your computer working, and unless you have that physical strenuous activity, you just pass out. And wow, dude, that's wild to think about because we forget just how much space wants to kill us. You know?
And then consider though, once you've passed out, if one of your fellow astronauts does not realize why you're passed out, you could easily die from a blood clot in your body that is slowing you so much that your brain wants to shut down. So that's like you pass out, but you pass out on your way to death.
So this whole concept of how Belters over generations get tall and skinny and stuff, that only happens if we figure out some kind of way to prevent the clotting and the passing out and shit. So that would require like some kind of, I don't know, some kind of hand wavy space drug or something.
Good old blood thinners. A lot of
Ooh, blood thinners. What if the only way Belters survive is if they're constantly drunk?
Yeah.
They have to thin their blood.
Well, no, the first 3 generations always are drunk, and then the kids, they realize they don't need it anymore because they've genetically adapted to us being drunk all the fucking time that they're naturally thinner.
Oh my god, I like this headcanon. That's the only way. Oh my god, it would be a bunch of Irish Belters. They're the only ones who can drink it. Oh, by the way, speaking of Basque, I took a DNA test last year to finally figure out what the hell I am, and I am like 2% Basque. So hey,
cool. That's cool.
Busy Batico is practically my brother.
Yeah, dude.
So anyway, so we get that going on. Then we jump back over to the Doninger, or wait, do we jump back to Earth first? Well, let's just fuck it. We don't have to go in order. This is our podcast. We can make our own rules.
Yeah.
So back on Earth, Avasarala, she gets that report from Admiral Souther about the battle going on, and which is something I think is kind of weird. Like it feels like it's something only her and Souther know about. That's a little strange. Thank you, Daisy, for knocking over my...
It seems more like he's just briefing her on what the situation is, because they've already sent the orders and it's just going to take them too fucking long to get anywhere close to there. So they can only speculate as to what's going on here. And then they know that they're never going to know unless somebody survives and tells them. So they're just like, honestly, it's almost a useless scene. It's
somewhat.
like, why the fuck are we even watching this? Except to know that Earth knows something's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the only plot point it serves.
And in the background, her husband is babysitting the grandkids, apparently. It's a little odd, but whatever. I'm sure there's some kind of analogy there.
I mean, I think it's just because it's showing that there's really nothing that Earth can do. I think one of the interesting things that The Expanse does is it uses their science in a way that tells you why we're never gonna, we just can't get there in time.
Right. Yeah.
It can't be done. It's not like we're asking an F-15 to fly to the other side of the fucking world, or we're using a spy satellite that is over a relatively small area that Earth occupies. No, we're talking about going like 3 times the distance that Earth is to the sun in time to see what's going on.
Space is fucking big, and people don't realize how big space is. And so, that is something I love about The Expanse, is just the fact that, well, at least for the first season, it takes place just within our own solar system.
Right.
I would love to see more sci-fi stories, universes, TV shows, books, whatever, do that, because our solar system is fucking big.
And it's like, cool.
Yeah. There's so much shit we could explore here, in a TV show or a story or something. Just the moons of Jupiter and Saturn have so many possibilities. So you don't have to have some kind of crazy faster than light technology in your story to tell a good story, because our solar system is really fucking big.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I didn't realize about Firefly, because there is no FTL in Firefly either.
They're in one solar system.
Yeah. They are in one solar, and you can go on and find fan-made maps of what the solar system of Firefly actually looks like. But I think that's pretty fucking awesome.
Absolutely, dude. When you are watching that, I literally just rewatched the series, because it's like I try to do that once a year. It's so hard. You burn through it so fast.
I know, yeah.
But I mean, like a Firefly, no. But but it is just one of those cool little details that, like, it's a very big solar system, right? It's a bigger solar system than ours, and I think it's actually a I think it has
binary.
It's a binary system, and there's some of the planets are circling a smaller sun which orbits the bigger sun, at least to my recollection. But dude, exactly. I'm actually writing a story that is very much like that, in terms of, we're just talking about what's going on inside the solar system, like looking at the history of the solar system, and we're dealing with the social problems of today. And I'm basically kind of building a foundation for a universe that I can throw a dart and figure out what kind of story that I want to tell, whether it's fantasy or sci-fi or, whatever. So, it's just, I love that kind of shit.
That's interesting, because a few years back, I had an idea for, I wanted to have a story that was post-apocalyptic in space. And I was trying to think, how could I make that happen? And it's along the same lines. It takes place just within our solar system. The idea is the sun has a low, it goes through a low-key supernova. This is completely non-scientific at all, but our sun loses like 1/10 of its mass in a massive, it just sheds, and it ravages 1/2 of Earth, like the Earth facing the sun at that time, gets completely wiped out. of all the planets like this, Saturn gets completely destroyed. Again, this is not scientific at all. This is just the Saturn.
Maybe Jupiter ignites into a second star.
Okay, that could happen. Yeah. Well, the idea was Saturn.
I was like,
yeah. Saturn gets completely destabilized and turns into a giant ring, and it's like, I call it the Sea of Saturn. There's just like this ring of gas circling.
Yeah.
Anyway, the idea is it's people in space scuttling over the scorched side of Earth looking for parts and stuff and oxygen. It was just an idea I had. It's not fully developed at all yet, but I was trying to figure out how could you do post-apocalyptic in space. So
yeah.
Anyway, back to space. Speaking of space, over on the Donager, Captain Yao is just casually watching these torpedoes. Well, they try to contact the ship first. That's when we find out it's not just one ship; it's 6
multiple ships. Yeah,
decelerating in close formation. That's a really cool detail I like, because that's, you wouldn't be able to tell if it's one ship or many when they're all grouped, clumped together like that.
Yeah, especially if they're making themselves look like like an engine formation that you would see on certain classes of ships.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. It's like they had. Yeah, if we were doing drops, I'd drop in that line from Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's like, they always travel side by side, to single file to hide their numbers. But that's what they do here. And then they fire torpedoes. And Captain Yao is kind of like just casually watching the torpedoes come in. And they return fire, and that's another thing we were just talking about, like how fucking big space is. You got a few minutes to go refill your coffee before the battle starts, you know?
And it also... Oh, hang on.
What the hell just happened, Mike?
Mustache hair. Mustache hair just invaded. I had to take care of that.
That's
cannot abide a mustache hair.
That's one of the hazards.
I cannot
one of the hazards of having such an epic mustache, you know.
Hey, you know what? It happens, and I've accepted that.
Yep.
But, fuck, what was I saying?
It's where we got torpedoes in the air.
Oh yeah, one of the things is it just like, it shows two things. It shows her experience in combat, that she's keeping a cool head. But it also shows her underestimating her enemy.
Yes.
Because she just thinks, like, and it's kind of a big oops for a cat. obviously we know why, because they end up dead at the end. But
right. It's kind of a big oops.
All right, you have this really fucking weird thing that just happened where a commercial ship was blown up under a false distress signal.
Yeah.
The survivors, for whatever reason, blamed Mars. You find out that it's because they found some Martian tech on one of the ships, or on the technology from the ships that destroyed them. And they're like, okay, your immediate thought should be, there is something really fucking weird going on here, and I shouldn't trust anything. And that includes the fucking random ship that's speeding in towards you.
Yeah,
so you don't sit there and say, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. You sit there and say, I want to not fucking risk my ship, and I want to make sure these fuckers aren't going to pull the rug out from under me.
Yeah, and she mentions that her experience is clearing the belt of the shipping lines of pirates.
Right.
Pirates are no threat at all to the
6 years.
Yeah.
Which is like, cool, that's great. You have experience fighting nobodies with scraps.
Yeah. She's the big dog, the giant in the playground.
For all she knows, this could be Earth coming in with a heavy ship. You know what I mean? This could be.
But even then, she wouldn't be concerned, because she's on the flagship of the Martian Navy, the most advanced navy in the known universe at that point in time.
It's just
so that hubris. It's there's a really good movie called Centurion. I think it's available on Netflix. And it's about the 9th Legion of the Roman Army, and I draw a lot of parallels there.
Yeah,
historians don't know what happened to the 9th Legion. They just disappeared from the history books.
Where were they on their way to?
I forget where. I think it was the Celts. But anyway, the movie is great. It's got what's that asshole's name? The guy who played David Fassbender, Michael Fassbender. He's the lead.
yeah.
It's one of his earlier roles. But in that movie, there's a scene where the Ninth Legion gets ambushed by some quote barbarians, and they just get devastated because it's the same attitude.
Yeah,
they're the Roman Legion. They conquer everyone, but they just get fucked.
So I'm gonna give a quick shout out to a podcast that I love. I want to listen to it more, but the episodes are very long. It's called Fall of Civilizations.
Oh,
and this guy goes in depth, every source that he can find about all of these civilizations and why they failed, what kind of happened, and he never comes to a direct conclusion unless there's overwhelming evidence towards that. But even still, he says, guys, we're just going off of what we can figure. It could have been this. It could have been that. It could have been this thing. And so he goes over all of those options.
It could have been aliens.
It could be, yeah. He doesn't. He goes over the real, like, let's piece this together in a logical fashion here. And he
like History Channel where it was aliens,
right? But one of the episodes is Britannia, and how the Romans continuously sent armies up there to try and conquer, and many of them did conquer, but then they thought, okay, now we're going to switch to governing. And so most of the army would leave except for the occupying force. But as soon as they did that, all the locals would say, hey, guess what? We're going to fuck you up again. And they could never keep the British Isles until, like, basically the last attempt was and every time a general went up there and conquered it successfully, he declared himself emperor and went back to Rome to try and take his seat of power, and was killed on the way there.
Yeah.
Every time.
Stop.
3 times. Anyway, just some random history, which is awesome. So if you love history, check out Fall of Civilizations, because it's just a great channel. It's very
That's always interesting how much I notice there's a lot of crossover between sci-fi nerds and history nerds. That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, I would say a lot of sci-fi is things that we've learned and experienced from our past reapplied in a future narrative. Yeah, check out Fall of Civilizations if you like history. History and sci-fi, they go together like lamb and tuna fish.
Gross.
Perhaps you prefer spaghetti and meatball?
Yeah, that sounds better. Lamb and tuna. Ew. Does that actually go together?
Right. Obviously, you haven't seen Big Daddy, which is one of the worst Adam Sandler films before.
No, I've seen it. I don't remember that line at all.
All right, so it's in the courtroom when he's going over the custody battle for the kid, and the delivery driver, Rob Schneider, they go together like lamb and tuna fish, and then Steve Buscemi's character goes, lamb and tuna fish. He goes, perhaps you prefer spaghetti and meatball, and Steve Buscemi's like, yeah, considering we're in America, like. Anyway,
back to the Donager.
Yeah, back to the Donager.
Let me see. Let me pull up my notes here. What happens next?
Captain's being arrogant, and Lopez is given. Yeah,
he's throwing shade at Holden.
He's grilling him, and honestly, I love. This is such a great moment just to see the passion of the Martians, right?
Yeah,
and why they're so upset with Earthers, and why Belters are so upset with Earthers, because. And it's such a great comparison to what's going on today in climate change, and the way that we treat our planet is just we take for granted this life-giving rock that we live on. Right. And Martians are united in the goal of trying to bring that sort of paradise to Mars, to a dead world. And how great it would be to see an ocean on Mars, like his grandfather remembered the oceans on Earth. And it's just such a really beautiful moment for Lopez, because you're kind of like, on one side, damn, dude, you're being really intense. On the other, you're like, dude, I kind of understand why this passionate zeal against the Earthers exists.
Now, this right here is something that this show does really well, is they are really great at pacing. Because this is something that I feel like a lot of modern TV just fucking fails at. But this exposition that we have in the middle of a battle, like the battle has, technically started.
Yeah.
But it's told in a lull. something that I gotta say the Star Trek Discovery fucking failed at miserably was the pacing. Like you would have conversations like this after the explosion started happening.
Right.
It makes no fucking sense. Where there would be like the latest season, literally they stop in the middle of a crisis to talk about their feelings. Where here it feels natural. It feels it flows really well.
Yeah.
Like you've got in the background, you got the crew on the bridge getting ready, you know, with the targeting and the missiles are in the air, and you have a lull where you can do this and it feels natural and it enriches the universe and the story, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just something the writers do really fucking well is just manage the pacing.
Big agree.
Anyway.
And that was honestly, so I don't know exactly when these episodes are going to air, but it's not going to be immediately. And Section 31 movie just came out not too long ago. And that was one of my biggest gripes with it was the pacing was so
it's horrible. Yeah.
Yo, you watched it too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I saw your little mini review that you posted in the lab. God, that was fucking hilarious. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck did I just watch?
I posted that exact same thing in STSP, and it has been blowing up. And some of the responses are hysterical.
Yeah. It's just not a good movie, and I feel like you know
what?
Go on
some people enjoyed it, and I want to say, good for them. I am so glad that somebody enjoyed it. I am very glad that somebody enjoyed this because you know what? Raccoons love garbage too, so it can't be that bad.
So
right?
when I watched it when it first came out, I think I was because you know I've kind of gone nocturnal, and I was at midnight when it like first became available for streaming.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I was just laughing, like, what the fuck is this? You know? Yeah. And I generously logged into IMDb and I gave it a 6 out of 10. Woo! Very generously. And at the time when you know when it was reviews first started coming in, it was around the same. It was around 6. Now opening it right now, it's at a 3.8.
And that's still pretty generous, dude.
That is still
where's Enterprise, bro? Like
it is worse than Enterprise, yeah. I say
so many people.
I've seen some funny memes talking about Star Trek V.
Yeah.
Talking about haha, who's the worst movie now?
Yeah. And dude, you know what though? Like I have a special place in my heart for pretty much all Star Trek, including Enterprise, which I don't really Enterprise, it wasn't the worst thing ever, but it was such a disappointment to its potential, which is why I give it so much shit.
I can agree with that, yeah.
But this was just like, and you know, it happened because they write a script, they write a series for a season, and then they take all of that writing, they hand it to a Paramount writer, who then has written one episode of Star Trek and said, make this into a movie. Yeah. All right, so it's gonna suck. Of course, it's gonna suck.
Yeah, anyway. It didn't feel it like it's supposed to take place in that pre-TOS era in the timeline. It doesn't feel like that at all.
I mean, well, it's supposed to take place in the post-Discoveries leaving,
which
in the future. So I guess
Discovery is pre-TOS.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
It doesn't feel like that at all. It barely feels like Star Trek at all.
Dude. Can I just say,
the
absolute fucking worst part of this movie was the very fucking end when, for no reason at all, the space station warps out.
Yeah. What the fuck? Where's it going? They don't even say where they're going. It fucking folds itself up like it's goddamn Unicron.
Tell them to go anywhere. Like the ship is just flying itself, and then every other ship also is going. What? Why? And I don't care that it can. I care that there's no reason.
Right. It feels like there was a scene that was cut there. Or it was like, one of my biggest complaints about it is that I feel really sorry for, like, the costume crew and the makeup crew and the effects crew. Because they're really good. Like, the effects are good. The costumes are really good.
Except for Philippa Georgiou's initial outfit at the beginning of the movie where she's got that fucking headdress over it, and then a terrible CGI retracts itself, and her eyes are all fucking like got some sort of crazy contact. I do not like that look. I feel like it's way the wrong area that Mirror Philippa would go for. She's like fucking hardcore goth girl, like
yeah.
And this is a very like I don't know. It's a very kind of bright, fashionable look, and I just it just didn't feel like it matched. And I also just really didn't like the CGI for this particular piece. The rest of it, in terms of graphics, was well executed.
Yeah. And I hate what they did with her character as well. Okay, I promise this is going to be my last thing about Section 31.
Yeah. No, I agree.
With her character, they're trying to, like, they had on their hands an excellent villain with an excellent actress to play it. She could have been the next Khan. Instead, they're trying to turn her into a hero somehow. You can't come back from all the fucking horrible shit that she's done.
She's an anti-hero now.
She's not even an anti-hero. She can't be. She just they should have gone full deep. They should have gone hard into her villain aspect. She should never have joined Section 31. She should have been the objective of Section 31. She would have been the villain that, like Khan, is fucking awesome, even though he's so goddamn evil. But
the issue is that, and I don't like everything about Discovery, but after season 1, it gets an overall pass from me, and I did enjoy it. And I did enjoy many parts of season 1, but there's a lot of it that is like, why is this happening? But aside from that, I really liked the character arc that Mirror Philippa goes through with Burnham. And at the end of that arc, she is not the Empress anymore. She is not that brutal person. But here's the thing. Why didn't any of this fucking emotional shit come up during that story? And that's why this movie feels so detached, because this is not a character that we're familiar with. This is supposedly a character who went through that experience and is better, but somehow lamer than she was before. Instead,
I loved the opening of Section 31, where it's talked about her past and the whole mirror universe tournament that they had. Like, that was cool. I like that. And like, her final test was to fucking murder her own family. That was fucking metal.
They do this weird thing where they try to make it feel like the Empire before her was tamer. It is still intense. It is still an empire, but they talk about in the movie how like her and her ex-lover guy are like talk about in the movie, and I think maybe the micro guy who's got the fake Vulcan. Which I'm not even going to get started on that guy.
That is terrible.
I think he also mentions in one of his rants, because ex-lover told him about the expansion of the Empire under her rule and how brutal it was compared to what the Empire was. And so when she left, when her seat of power was vacated, the Empire just was this much more rigidized, brutalized version of itself.
Correct.
Which is why when we come up to the TOS era, Spock then starts bringing it in the other direction, which weakens it, which is why in the Deep Space Nine era, they've been overrun by the Alliance. So, I mean, it basically, the Terran Empire was probably very set before that. They were probably very stable. Sorry, they're probably really stable. And then she brutalizes them, expands the Empire beyond its means, and then a vacuum of power is created. That's how Rome fell. Boom, 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 boom. All of these infighting. Eventually, Spock takes over. People are ready for reform, and they become weak. Anyway, we've spent too much time talking about this shitty movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our mini review of Section 31 inside CQB. So let's get back to the Donager.
Yeah, back to the Donager. Okay, so missiles are coming in. Lopez and Holden are throwing shade at each other. I do like that line of where Holden's like you giving me shit about Earth? I don't like Earth either, dude.
Yeah, he's like, What does he say? He's like, why aren't
just
you like he's like, if I cared about Earth, that's where I'd be.
and like breaking things
If I
is what
missed it, I'd go back. I think is what he says.
is. I love the line of destroying things is what Earth is best
Earthers
at.
do
And then
best.
he like Martians too, from the look of your ship.
Yeah.
Like, that is
Well,
dope.
that's the thing. That's a really intriguing question that he poses without even asking it, is to say, all right, y'all's mission, y'all's dream is excellent. But what do you do after that? When Mars is the garden you dreamed of, where do you go from there? What is going to happen to your society? Do you think they might
the
become a little
tragedy
bit
of
entitled?
Mars.
Do you think they might become a little self-destructive? Do you think 100 generations after that goal is achieved, that place will still be as beautiful as it was? Because it's not an Earther thing; it's a human
thing. Nice. I like that. Yeah. Fucking humans. They're the worst.
fucking humans, dude.
All right. So so then we get the torpedoes come in, they strap Holden in, and our boy here, our unnamed ensign at the controls is like, whoa, what the fuck? He's like, oh shit. Captain Meow comes over and is like, what's up? What's the problem? And he's all just like, oh, these torpedoes are really good. And that's when shit starts going south. Even though they destroyed one of the enemy ships in the first opening salvo,
Right.
they're like, they get a little bit of false confidence there, and then they start getting wrecked by these torpedoes. Then we cut back over to
guidance is then they've simmed against. That's what he says. He's like, and you have to understand that 95% of this crew has probably never seen action.
Right. And I'm imagining they sim against Earth, so
right.
they
and maybe
that's
some
what Mars does.
Pirates and stuff like that.
But still, Earth is their biggest foe at this point. So what they were simming against, what they were they're training to fight Earth. So that just implies that these torpedoes are way more advanced than anything Earth has.
Right.
So, which makes sense when we find out where these ships actually come from. So then we bounce back over to Ceres, and Miller is tracking down Busy Batico. We find out that Busy Batico owns a little club, and I love this
Does he
slingshot
own the club,
club.
or is he just he's a regular there? I thought he was just a regular there.
I guess so. Maybe.
Because he's just another.
Right.
He's another ringer, another slinger, whatever the
slinger ringer. A ring slinger. I like that. A ring slinger.
Ring slinger. And dude, what a cool but dangerous sport. Like,
I posted a question about this in the what's it called, Expanse Geeks Facebook group, talking about it's a cool idea, but how practical would it be? I mean, you got your boy here live streaming his slingshot maneuver, but these slingshot racers, I mean, they make them out to be like extreme sports kind of dudes. Majority of it's going to be really fucking boring. You're going to be sitting in that cramped ass tiny little ship for weeks at a time.
One of the future, I think it's in like season 2 or 3. I can't remember. It's been so long, and I've only seen the show once originally. But like until this rewatch. But isn't there a sling ringer who is in a relationship with someone, and she's all pissed because he's
about
always
how he's
gone.
Yeah.
He's always gone.
Yep. Yeah, this is my boy Maneo June Espinoza. That guy. Or I should say Maneo June Espinoza. But yeah. But I got some good responses to that, saying that like it would be a big event when they start live streaming, when they actually do their maneuver. That's when people would tune in. Yeah, that's when they place their bets and shit. And it is a kind of a little bit of hand wavy storytelling that Miller just happens to walk in at this moment, you know.
Yeah,
where and this is something, this scene I love about Miller's character here is he addresses the entire crowd, and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for Busy Batico." And another thing I like about this is you see that the belters are all hanging out watching the live stream, and you see a lot of them have like they're taking hits from these little masks. And at first I was thinking, okay, they're doing drugs, but now I'm thinking
oxygen.
Maybe it is just regular oxygen because I believe we've established on this show that Ceres stinks because because they have all that recycled air in a cramped enclosed area. It smells bad. Maybe they're just paying for some air that doesn't smell horrible.
But I think actually it's twofold. So that's probably one of the benefits of it, but it probably is just oxygen. But when a human being breathes in a higher oxygen atmosphere than they're used to,
Does it get
if
you high?
go on an oxygen machine, 90% of that tank is nitrogen.
Oh, okay. So it's like
Right?
laughing
Because
gas? Or?
you can't, well, no, not laughing gas. Like, our atmosphere is 90% oxygen.
Right.
So when you have to be given oxygen in the hospital, it's a percentage of oxygen in what they're giving you. Because if they give you too much oxygen, you're going to get really fucking high. Like, it's also not really healthy to do for extended periods, I think. But I bet you that's what they're doing is it's like an oxygen hookah. And they're
oxygen hookah
oxygen because it gives them a temporary high. They feel awesome. And these are bodies that are probably deficient in oxygen to begin with.
Yeah, that is true.
Because the atmosphere is artificially generated and is recycled air. So it's probably not what Earth's atmosphere is. There's probably less oxygen in that atmosphere than would be in Earth's.
I don't know how you titled these episodes, but oxygen hookah is a great
oxygen hookah.
So yeah, but anyway, so like I was saying, what Miller does here is really telling about his character. I feel like, because he addresses the entire room, and he says, "I'm looking for this guy," and he gets the attention of everyone. Is like, "Look, I'm looking for Busy Batico," and then he says, "Hey, Busy Batico's dead," and they all start laughing at him. They're like, "No, that Busy Batico!" And at this moment, when he he just embarrassed himself, and then Busy bites it on the big screen. Now he did.
Now Busy dead.
Instead of it, like if it was anyone else, they'd be really fucking embarrassed for looking like a douchebag right at that moment. But him, he doesn't care. You can see that he doesn't give a shit about their opinions of him, that he just looks like a fool in front of all of them. He's more focused on putting the pieces together.
Right. Like, it gives him a lead, and so he doesn't care. He's like, this is great.
Yeah.
And I love the manager there who comes in. He's like, "Oh yeah, hey, we know Sasa. We all stay and legal." And he goes,
"It's for entertainment purposes only."
Right. He goes, like, "I don't care. I don't care." And his immediate, he switched. "Oh, you want to get in on the bet?"
That is awesome. Yeah, I love that part.
And I mean, that is one of the things that I like about Miller's character is that he's so nonchalant. He just does not care about the small things. He's like, and this, honestly, this is the attitude that more cops need to have.
Don't get me started, but I 100% agree. Yeah,
cops are not here to be like literally making sure that no one's doing anything against the law. Cops are there to make sure that society stays safe, right? So there's a
fucking broken window policing is bullshit. Broken window is a broken window fallacy. That's why they call it a fallacy. Exactly. Anyway, don't get me started. God damn it. Anyway, so Busy Batico dies, and we jump back over to the Donager that is getting fucked up by these ships. And so Alex and Naomi and all them back in their little box holding cell that they're in.
Yeah, in their group cell.
Yeah, Alex lets him know, is like, what's going on? He's like, "Oh, that's battle mode lighting." Something.
Yeah, I love this when Alex is describing, because he knows what's up. He's like, "This is this protocol. That sounds like torpedoes. This is."
They're like, "It sounds like a whole." Amos is like, "Sounds like a lot of torpedoes."
Sounds like a lot of torpedoes, and then they're like, "Yeah, this isn't a simulation."
Yeah, let's get strapped in. Yeah. But one thing I love about this that remains constant throughout this series is anytime you're on a Martian ship, when it goes into battle mode lighting, which is basically should be like red alert, it's blue. The blue lights come on, and that is just, they never address this, but it just makes so much sense because on Mars, what is Mars? Mars is fucking red.
Mars is red.
Like if we go out right now and look at the sky,
Earth is blue.
It's a red dot. It's mind-blowing that that's just how red Mars is, and Martians grow up with that environment, that feeling of home is associated with the color red, and their entire lives they're taught that Earth is the enemy and Earth is a blue dot in the sky, and they grow up like with the reverse kind of color identification that we do.
Priorities,
saying, like blue is good, red is bad, red means stop, red means danger. With
I bet
them,
red means go and green means stop. And
So yeah, blue means emergency lighting or battle battle mode lighting. Like I fucking love that.
Their fire department has blue lights, blue trucks.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. So
yeah,
anyway.
no, that is cool.
So yeah, they get strapped in. Alex starts having a panic attack. Well, not yet. Hang on. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and go there. So yeah, they start taking railgun hits, and that's when the crew is like, whoa, they got railguns? How do they have railguns? And
no ship that small has a cloaking device.
Alex starts having a panic attack, and Shed, being the medic,
Shed is such a good guy.
He's a great guy. He's got drugs on him.
Here's my last anxiety bar. Here you go.
It never shows how they take them, like, because it's a stick. Are you supposed to eat the stick? Do you suck on it? Do you put it up your nose? Do you put it up your ass? I mean, how do these space drugs work?
When Shed was having a panic attack, Holden grabbed one of these and broke it in half and popped some of it in his mouth.
Is that how it worked? Okay, I don't remember.
I don't need to take the full thing. I think it's designed for, okay, how much anxiety are you experiencing right now? This much, this much, this much, and so I think it's designed to be broken up so that you can maybe use them over time.
See, I thought it was a cigarette at the longest time, but you were just supposed to smoke it or something. But cigarettes
you might
in
leave
space
it
are
in
a
your
bad
mouth
idea.
and kind of like hard candy it a little bit. But I mean, at least that's what it seems like in the episode where Shed's freaking out and Holden goes.
I must have missed that. I'll have to go back and watch that again. But either way, we don't find out what Alex does with it because
he doesn't catch it.
Shed loses his head.
Shed loses his head.
It's so sad, dude. I loved Shed. It's a great character.
And, I mean, it really is just, like, such a good sci-fi moment where you're just like, all right, here's what's going on. And because we don't really conceptualize what a railgun would do. Like, I think most people barely understand what a railgun is.
Right.
Even when they know the principle of it, it's like, okay, this is fucking, it's literally cutting through the entire
just punches holes in the
from
ship.
end to end.
Right. And I think the armor of the Donager is designed not to stop railgun rounds, but to take them. Because like, if you try to build the armor to where armor it up to where
becomes too heavy.
It becomes too heavy, and the impact when it finally does break through is a lot more damaging. Here, I think the armor is supposed to be more cloth-like. I think to where it takes a hole, you let it make a hole, but it's easily patchable.
And if you are going to do that, you would probably have what you would use for exterior casing if you wanted to protect against railguns. You would use that around your critical systems. So your or all of those like your life support systems, all of those should be encased in the most protective material possible. So that because dude, it's not worth making the whole ship bulletproof and that railgun proof when you can just, like the Titanic, have pressurized bays that we'll shut those off.
That's another thing about the later in the series. Whenever we go into space battles, you see they vent the oxygen and they all put on their suits, which makes sense. There's a really good essay on space combat and realistic space combat on this website called, I think it's called Project Rho, RHO. If you search for atomic rockets, they've got a lot of really good hard sci-fi pages and stuff. But yeah, they're saying like that. Daisy, stop trying to eat the cat food. And they do a lot of talk about like that's how space combat would work. You would vent the compartments. You would have everyone, all the crew in their stations in their spacesuit, vacuum suits. I mean, and the bridge would be the most innermost part of the ship. You wouldn't have it like on Star Trek where it has
it
a
wouldn't
big
be on the
window.
top outside.
Yeah, it wouldn't be something that's you can get to easily. But in the Donager, you don't see them do that. I think for two reasons. One is the overconfidence that they have.
Yeah,
like I think these rooms, compartments in the ship are designed to do that, to vent the oxygen you put on your suit. But with them, they're like, whatever, this is no problem. They underestimate the threat. And two, the ship is also designed to do that. It seems like it's a bunch of self-contained pressurized rooms stacked on top of each other. So that way, if one gets hit, you seal off that one and you keep going. It's not a major crisis. Also because the ship is so fucking big.
And
like
you can also tell how easy it is to patch those because then Niobe, they just like, okay, we're good.
And that, every single room has one of these repair kits in it.
The only thing that it didn't have was apparently a better oxygen, was an oxygen supply to continue feeding into that. Once that section was cut through, life support for all those sections were turned off, even though they resealed their section.
Yeah, I think that's
interesting.
Yeah. But I think that's also because they were prisoners there. They were locked in. If the rest of the ship, if that shit happened, then you've got enough time to patch the hole, put on your suit, and then go to a different part of the ship.
Right. Most of them would have a suit available to wear at that point.
Right.
So they could have done that. But also, I feel like it is possibly like a flaw in that they couldn't restart that whole section. They could only do the whole area or none of it. Right. So they couldn't have that room getting oxygen because the rooms around it were losing it.
Yeah. Then we go back to the bridge where, some explodium goes off on one of the consoles and a guard gets knocked over, Holden gets loose, and there's a really great scene that I didn't understand
Lopez
at first.
Thinks he's going to go for the gun.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He goes to help the guy, and that's where Lopez somewhat earns Lopez's trust because he didn't go for the gun. He goes to help the random dude.
And respect, too, because at that point, I think he treats him a lot differently.
And also this scene here where I think this is where Holden identifies the ship. He's like, I've seen that before. And then suddenly Captain Yao is like, we need to make this guy a priority. Got to keep him safe. This feels so much like the role-playing game. Like, I feel like this is a scene directly lifted from the original role-playing session that this series is how it started.
Right.
It just feels like such a brilliant DM thing. Like I wish this is something I would have thought of for one of my campaigns that I used to run. This is just great because it's the way it's set up. It's like, okay, now all of a sudden the player characters are important and you got the NPCs protecting you and shit, and that's what starts off the plot. It's really brilliant. Like it doesn't feel, I mean, it just feels like a role-playing session, which is not a bad thing. It just it's what it is. I like it.
I love it. I think it's like, and because it's such a great build up too, because Lopez is like, wait, what? He hears Holden say like, I've seen these ships before. These are the ships that destroyed the cat. And Lopez is like, wait, what? Yeah. Captain, you have to hear what he just said. And she's like, the fuck I do. I got bigger things. And he's like, no, this is important. And then he says it again, and she's like,
yeah.
She takes a second, she processes it, and she goes, all right, whatever's going on, we're probably not going to make it out of here.
Yeah.
At this point, I can now think that whatever is going on, this situation, it finally dawns on her, this situation is bigger than we anticipated, and these guys are.
She realizes the importance of
so we need to get him as the only person who can stop a war between Earth and Mars. The fuck safe and out of here.
Yeah. She understands that him being a third neutral party here is the most important voice that could possibly prevent, like you just said, prevent a war. So they get him suited up, and Holden's like, no, I'm not going without my crew, and Lopez is like, shut up.
And then he just dips at the first battle opportunity when they're all distracted. He's like, dude, I'm gonna go get my fucking people. Of course, Yellow gets taken out. And in that moment, when the when he's like fighting the invader, and then he like takes the guy's arm off and it seals itself.
That is so cool. Yeah.
Which is like, is that the suit? Is that a biological thing? Like,
No,
what?
I think it's definitely the suit. That's the way it appeared to me, is like it's a self-sealing suit.
A self-sealing stem bolt?
Some stem bolt, yeah.
Self-sealing stem bolts.
Stem bolt technology, yeah. The another thing interesting here that I learned from one of the behind-the-scenes things is that the armor that the Martians wear, that was the reason, like in the next season when we get introduced to Bobby and the Martian Marines, the reason they gave the Marines different armor is because they got some feedback about how it was really difficult to tell who was who when it comes to the Martian characters, because their face was so obscured. So that's why Bobby and the Mars Marines have full transparent face helmets.
Right.
I mean, it makes sense in like a tactical, real world perspective, but not so great for a TV show, because I had a hard time telling, wait, who's talking here? You know?
Yeah.
Because all you see is just this right here.
It's also one of those things that, in reality, the actors couldn't see a fucking thing out of those helmets. Lighting up their face and glaring against the screen that they're sitting right in front of.
Mm-hmm.
So
it really makes sense though, because like you would want to have that in space, like a face, but it's like a dual layer of protection. It's like if your suit gets pierced, then that's a problem, obviously, but at least you can still breathe.
Right.
Anyway, speaking of suits getting pierced, that's when Holden goes up to the guy. And another thing I feel like they didn't, this series, one of the mistakes or missteps in season 1 is the way that everyone's thinking that this is the OPA who's attacking them. And then they see the dude, he's like, oh, he's way more advanced than any OPA grunt I've ever seen. The problem is the audience has not seen an OPA grunt at this point.
Right.
I remember when I was first watching this, this episode, I didn't have a full grasp of who and what the OPA was. I mean, now looking back, it's like, they're belter pirates and they have crappy ships that are held together with duct tape.
Well, but it's also way more ambiguous in the first season, because this is when the OPA isn't strictly a terrorist organization. They are a political entity that is trying to regain, that is trying to take control of their territory and get Earth and Mars the fuck out so that they can be an independent nation in a sense. But half of the people, I mean, it's kind of analogous to the IRA in some ways, right? You have people who want to create a peaceful resolution and do things diplomatically, and then you have people that want to blow up buildings and just kill people and say, get the fuck out of our country. So and then because we're about to be introduced to at Tycho Station, Frank, who is a big OPA guy, but he's not a big violence guy. You know what I mean? So
now, that's something that, I forgot about, that we get a scene where, meanwhile, back over with the Mormons, we get introduced to Fred Johnson.
And we get to finally see this magnificent ship.
And they're
like, oh, we're thinking about finding somebody else to take over the project because we have OPA ties. And it's like, one, why are you fucking telling this guy when you don't have someone to immediately take over the project for him? And two, as he states, he's like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure you're going to have some mechanical issues at this point. So you do what you think is best. But if you get rid of me, you better believe this thing ain't making it to its destination. Yeah. Is he saying it?
Later, I'd like to do a little bit more of a deep dive into the design of the Nauvoo when we get there. But I've got a lot of thoughts on it.
And it is a beautiful looking ship. I mean, the gold and the white and the silver.
Oh, dude, there's so much I want to talk about when it comes to Nauvoo. But we'll get there. I don't want to get into it.
Well, you'll just have to make sure you're here.
It's a little interesting that that Fred Johnson knows about the battle that's going on right now.
Earth knows. He's just
Earth knows. Fred Johnson knows as well. But he knows about the Canterbury being I guess it does make sense, because at this point the entire solar system knows about the Canterbury being blown up thanks to James Holden.
But he also probably knows. I mean, the way that Fred is positioned, is in a very powerful place of information because I'm sure Tycho Station has observatories. They are observing everything. Their sensors will say, "Oh shit, there's some random light going on. That's a battle. Let's zoom in the best that we can there." So, and then because of his technological hookups and being on the forefront of manufacturing technology in the belt, he might have some. He has some information to be like, maybe they're using this advanced technology.
Yeah, Fred Johnson seems to be like the type of guy who is always looking for an angle to play. You know, he heard about the Canterbury explosion and he immediately tried to get as much information on as possible. It's like he's putting chess pieces on the board. Doesn't know exactly what he's going to use them for yet, but he knows he needs to put pieces there, you know.
And they would know that the Doniger is in the area and responding to this situation. So he would look out, find the Doniger. Where is it out there? You know.
Another interesting thing about Tycho Station, it's, I don't know if they ever bring it up in the series, but in the books,
that's where Niki's going to go to get power converters.
Right. Tycho Station can move. It has its own thrust. It can travel to different parts of the system. It's pretty amazing.
Just like the Section 31 Club.
Oh God, that thing, yeah.
At FTL travel. No, it doesn't. But yeah, it's
the gravity. The gravity ring where it spins, it's designed to where each section can reorient itself, so that way when it's under thrust, that it has gravity. Yeah, and so it's really pretty amazing. It's an amazing piece of engineering the way that Tycho Station is designed.
It seems a little bit. I mean, and so many things kind of do feel a touch, but it's very reminiscent of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
It is, yeah. One of the things I read on like Reddit and message boards for the Expanse fans was talking about how they mentioned that Tycho is primarily, its main function is it spins up asteroids. Like it spun up Ceres, it spun up Eros. It's because those asteroids are too small to have their own gravity.
Right.
So to generate gravity, they have to spin them. And it talks a lot about how insane that is to actually do in real life. Like if you were to actually do that,
grab a celestial body and spin it,
to do that without it just tearing itself apart, that would require, that's just insane. It would require a lot more smarts than I have. So
I mean, you can imagine, right? If you're going to tackle this from an engineering standpoint, you're probably going to build the infrastructure of the base first.
You have to reinforce
that infrastructure go into the center of that celestial body so that you can grab the base, the metal that is attached to the infrastructure of your base, and spin that. Instead of grabbing the rock and flipping it, because like you're saying, all the light debris is going to fall off of that, and then it's going to start cracking into pieces unless you already have something in place that's holding it together.
Yeah. And also it's another thing that we haven't I wanted to mention is that it's really realistic to think that you would, instead of building an actual space station like you do in Star Trek or whatever, it makes more sense to grab an asteroid and hollow it out and put your in there, because that requires a lot less material.
Absolutely.
And, getting material into space is anyway, that's
and some of them could even be light enough to attach an engine system to, especially if it's already moving around like a large asteroid moving around in the solar system, convert it into a spaceship.
Yeah. That's a cool idea. Anyway, we can get more into that later. So so that happens. Holden makes a deal with Lopez to rescue his crew as well, and I feel like it is such a missed opportunity when Holden goes in there, and we see that this is after Alex takes a thing to knock himself out to use less oxygen.
Right.
He walks in. I feel like it is such a missed opportunity. So they ask. He sees Shed missing his head, and
where's Shed's head?
No. I really wish they would have said what happened to Shed if Amos or Naomi said he's dead, Jim.
He's dead, Jim. Yeah, I mean, that would have been great for us. Like,
I know. He's dead, Jim.
what I kind of love about that moment is that no explanation is necessary.
Yeah, you just know,
Literally, a railgun shot right through and took his head out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all three of these guys are traumatized from it, so I'm not even going to mention it.
Oh, God, yeah. When the thrust comes back on and all that floating blood just falls.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to know how they did that, because that doesn't look like CG.
Amos, I mean, it's a good thing that it was Amos because he's a sociopath and doesn't care about blood. But when he's patching the hole in the wall, he's got blood trickling all over his hand. And he's just like, whatever, because he's a sociopath, but that's okay. He's our Amos.
He's our Amos, yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that that they had to kill Shed, but it also has that Game of Thrones effect where, a main character just dies for no fucking reason. It heightens the tension, like, oh, and shit. And this show is not afraid to kill off a main character for no reason.
I mean, it is the last time they do it, but it's kind of, in terms of the main characters, right?
Main cast, yeah,
just
you're right.
A Rossi crew.
Well, no, they kill Alex, but that's a whole other thing.
But they killed him way at the end.
Way later, yeah.
So in the last season, you know what I mean?
I think so, yeah.
Or it's either then or at the end of the 5th season.
Season, I think it is.
I think it's the end. I think it's in the 6th season that he dies. I can't remember, but
we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But it's just like we're still getting comfortable with these characters, and it's like, bam, guess what? This one just disappeared. So while they don't do it a lot in the future, they do kill off some characters, but never the main crew until and then we got Miller also ends up dead, but then continues on as in the blue goo. But it's just one of those things that keeps the audience uncomfortable. Oh my God. Right. One of the seemingly main characters just died, but realistically, this is the 4th episode, and there's no reason to think that he was ever intended to be here for that long. So
speaking of main characters and red shirts, all the Martians die. They all get killed getting to the Tashi, and I do love the scene where,
except for Lopez, he doesn't die on the way. He dies in the Rossi or the Tashi.
And Alex, they throw him into the pilot seat because Lopez is like, I'm not a pilot. Someone's gonna have to fly this thing. And God, I love Alex's story arc, to where we find out. While the Donager is under attack, Amos is like, oh wow, for a Mickey Navy guy, you are kind of a little bitch. And he's like, I was a glorified bus driver.
Yeah, I love that.
I flew transport ships.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I do really enjoy, and it kind of made me wonder for a minute when they're getting into the ship and they need to cover fire, and Lopez has the rest of his team, and a lot of them are still alive, and it's like, dude, why? Like, it just seems so unlikely that most of them, let alone all of them, would make it into the Tashi, right? So but then you're thinking, okay, none of these people except for Lopez are firing at anybody else, and they are taking fire from 5 or 6 people. So the people going across the catwalk are not, they are the targets, but they aren't the priority in that moment because I'm under fire from 4 different directions.
Right.
So it's like they're trying to take opportune shots, and then they have to go back to shooting at who's shooting at them. So it does kind of make sense, and even within that, they still hit Amos's leg, and then obviously they hit Lopez a couple times, but he's also injured from the explosion behind him. But it's just that cool moment of like, oh shit, like Shed literally just lost his head. Any of these members could die on the way over.
Yeah. Something else I noticed about this scene is I went and rewatched it several times, this entire episode, because later in the series we get where ship is under attack and they have no gravity, but you got the crew with their gravity boots on. Something that is really fucking cool that they do later in the series is whenever someone gets killed like that, they're just standing there floating.
Yeah.
because their mag boots are still attached, and there's just these so fucking creepy. Going through the hallway with all these corpses that are standing up. That is so fucking cool. And I thought that was a mistake at some point, because I went and watched this episode several times to see but no, every time they go through a hallway with corpses on the floor, the ship is still under thrust.
Right.
And then later, as the ship loses thrust
until the end.
Yeah. And then we get no gravity again.
And we don't really see any dead bodies after that point. So the guys are on
really well
sides in the framework of the bay.
They did it really well.
That also reminds me of something that I really thought was cool, was when Holden and Niobe are going across. Naomi, yeah. Yeah, I call her Niobe. I don't know why I tried to switch it. I watched The Matrix recently, so Niobe is and Naomi. So when Holden and Naomi are going across the bridge to get to the Tashi, or the whatever the fuck, they're floating, like the explosion takes the gravity out, the thrust stops, so they start floating, and they're like, oh fuck, we weren't ready for this. We're too far away for our mag boots. And Holden is like, okay, I'm going to use physics to figure this out.
That was a really cool shot, yeah.
Pushes her so he can get back to the floor, magnetize, and then pull her back. Simultaneously allows them to dodge more bullets. Because if they're sitting there floating, they're open targets, but now that both of them are moving at different trajectories, they have to figure out which one they want to target. It takes more time to process. It gives him time to get them under control back on the floor.
It's a pretty brilliant piece of physics, and it is also shot for shot. Just like this, it did the same thing in Jackass, where there was an episode, you know what I'm talking about, where they had Wee Man and the one really big, like fucking 400-pound fat dude.
Yeah, they
tied to a bungee. And they both jump off the diving board and bloop, bloop,
yeah,
it's the same thing. Oh man, fucking Jackass! It's the worst show ever.
Jackass.
Anyway, so yeah, then we get to that's just about the end of our episode. Our heroes make it on the Tachi.
Have some more of Siri Station to go on, because
right. They find
Elmer is back in so on the body, or is that episode?
No. Is this episode where he goes back to the corpse. He calls in Octavia, asks for her help.
Because he's not a tech guy at all. And she is very tech focused.
That's when they find out that he's got
all these
they
body
call it an ID spoofer, which is really cool as a plot device.
He's also got like a prostate stimulator or some shit. Like,
it's a pancreatic pump.
Pancreatic pump, right.
Yeah. But this ID spoofer, it doesn't really make sense to me that it would, because it makes sense that every time you scan it, it gives you somebody different. But it doesn't make sense that it would make that a real person, because Busy Batiko was a real person. You'd think it would just generate a random name.
Well, no, because they could look up that name and see that it's not a real person, because they have everybody on file.
Yeah, you're right.
So it randomly pulls into the system and pulls people's files, because exactly the reason of what Miller did. He checked it once.
Yeah. He went to go look up the dude.
Recheck it. What's the point of rechecking it? Until he finds out, and 9 times out of 10, that body would have been recycled at that point.
Yeah,
it was only because he stopped it from being recycled that he was able to go back and check it again. So it was a really smart call for him to be like, don't fucking recycle this body. I'll recycle you if you recycle this body. And so he could go back and check on that. So we have that scene. And then
it was a really go ahead.
We have who we thought was dead and got shot up with, nailed up onto the wall.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the pimpstress finds him, the brothel madam finds him and tries to steal his wallet, and he was like, oh shit, he's still alive.
But she does the good thing at that
She does the right thing. She doesn't finish him off.
I mean, dude, that's one of the things that pisses me off in Red Dead Redemption is looting. Why is looting bodies going to make you lose armor or honor? The guy's dead. Looting bodies shouldn't make you lose honor when you're taking it from people who aren't going to need it and are going to be eaten by animals before their family finds them. So take the $2 off the guy. What's it matter? So
oh man,
no problem with her trying to take a wallet off a dead guy, but when she realizes he's alive, she goes and gets help. Now that makes sense.
Everyone liked that.
And then she gained honor.
Yeah. I like the scene with Octavia and Miller where he's that is a pretty funny thing where he tries to get the chip out of him. And
he
keeps
brutalizes this dude's leg.
Like, what? It's not like he feels it,
He tries, and it's not like he feels it.
They're just stabbing the corpse, and she's all
Why
just like,
didn't he just give it to her? Because she could have won and done it. Because,
I know, right?
And that's the thing. I get it, and he's not feeling pain, and that's cool. But what point of your pride are you like, I have to be the one to get this thing out? It's got to be me. Like,
yeah, he's just trying to impress his ex-girlfriend for some stupid reason.
Well, right, and there's a lot of that dynamic, and in what's going on between the two of them, and it's like, it's nice that they still help each other out, but there's obviously still a lot of sore feelings on both sides.
Which, by the way, is it just me, or does Octavia here? It took me out of it when I first saw this show. She looks a lot like the one of the ensigns on the bridge of the Donager. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I didn't look at that way, but I can see how.
Yeah, I mean, they got the same hairstyle, and their voice sounds almost the same too. I thought they were the same person when I first saw this. I was like, "What? How did she get all the way to Mars?"
Well, and it's funny when you look at characters like oh God, who's the chick that Geordi falls in love with, her hologram version for Leah Brahms?
Yeah.
The character who plays Leah Brahms, or the actress who plays Leah Brahms, also plays the attaché to the Admiral in the Deep Space Nine episode Paradise Lost.
Oh yeah.
Same actress, different hairstyle, barely. Unless you watch the episodes right near each other, you're probably not going to notice. And so it's funny how they do stuff like that, but I do not think that is one of those cases.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that happens. And then, so our heroes get onto the Tachi, and Captain Yao hits the self-destruct button. A really cool piece of background information, though. The self-destruct console was modeled after the set designers, producers. So I don't know. Someone in The Expanse was a big fan of Aliens, and they modeled it after the Nostromo's self-destruct console that Ripley has to at the end. Yeah, it's got a lot of the same color scheme and shapes. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, no. I do think it was kind of nice when the captain just kind of has the humility to be like, I didn't think we could lose. What I would have liked to see, and I think it would have fit her character a little bit better, is to look at her crew and go, thank you for giving me everything. Yeah. I'm sorry I let you down. I didn't
Something
think
like that. It's been an honor serving with you. Yeah, get a little bit of a speech there. Like her that line was more for the plot than it was for her character.
Yeah.
It would have been better if she had.
Well, I mean, I think it makes sense for her to say. She's definitely feeling that. But she would have, but looking at her crew, she would, right before the end, she would have been like, I'm sorry, guys. Thank you. Let's go out with a bang.
She would have been like, you've all served Mars for the greater good, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
My life for Mars.
And then, I also love the way that Alex just rips through the docking bay on his way out. And he's just like, I've never done this before. And I'm knocking into every fucking thing. We're just going to blow a hole in this wall and fucking go through it.
So another cool piece of little trivia here is that when the Tachi's guns are firing, they fire, the barrels don't spin here. They fire in sequence. Where they go like one shot from this barrel, this barrel, this barrel. And that is something that also makes sense, because if they start spinning up while the ship is not under thrust, that would create some like centrifugal force that would make it harder to steer. So that implies later on in the series, we see the guns spinning. So that implies they have two different modes. And that is fucking cool as shit. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they really
even though I don't like the design of the turrets, they're too bulky. I could I could design something much more space efficient than this
Yeah.
weird thing that comes out with a robotic arm.
I think they wanted to do that because they didn't get a lot of chances to embellish things in this show, and having big ass guns on the side probably made them feel cooler.
It
But
just
I
feels
agree,
over-engineered, like
sleek.
the way it looks. There's way too many unnecessary points of failure for that
Yeah.
thing. But anyway,
I agree. But and then so Alex gets his kicks. He gets into the seat and is like, I need to take some fucking drugs, bro. And then I'm sure he gets the stimulants in through
yeah, I guess the
juice.
density high G juice also has some caffeine in it, I guess. I don't know.
Some sort of energizer because it gives him the juice.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm doing it. Look at me, ma.
Yeah. Oh, and back on Earth, Avasarala is lying on the roof, and that's such a. Yeah, we skipped over this part, but that's such a mood. She's just laying on the roof, like I can't even.
Well, I mean, it's one of those. At least, like, it tells you two things. One, she is powerless, but she acknowledges that and does what she can, which is to relax, give herself a break, let go of what's going on, because there's nothing she can do. Right. And instead of worrying and beating people over the head with trying to find solutions that won't work, I'm going to go onto my roof and smoke some weed.
I'm gonna go on my roof, smoke some weed.
We'll deal with the problems tomorrow when we get there and we can figure this shit out.
And big foreshadowing moment there with her grandson coming out and talking about rocks. Throwing rocks in space.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that's some. Didn't even realize it at the time.
What's your thing? And what doesn't he talk? He's talking about weapons, and she's like, rocks. I'm afraid of fucking rocks, dude.
Yeah, she's like, whoa, like the one that killed the dinosaurs? Oh, well, that hardly ever happens.
Yeah.
Oh, well, but that's our episode. We made it.
That's CQB right there, gang.
That is CQB.
Overall, what would you score the episode in between? Let's see, 1 to 6 Rossies.
1 to 6 Rossies. I give it a 5.9. There's just some very minor details that I would have changed to make it a perfect episode, but overall, it's as close to a perfect episode of sci-fi TV as you can get. I feel like, yeah.
I very much agree. I would say. Right, I'm right around the same area as you, 5.5 to 5.9, somewhere between. It really is an episode that locks you into the series. And if you weren't sure about the episode or the series at this point, you either have decided yes or you stopped watching during this episode. Because it just wasn't for you. But so I feel like most people were locked in.
Yeah.
In this episode.
The second episode and then the episode immediately after this, I feel were kind of slow.
There's a lot of world building in those, and I feel like now we've built the world. They gave a lot of effort to build the world in 3 episodes, so that in the 4th episode we can feel like we're up to speed enough to really focus on these 2 main stories, because in episode 5 we don't get any scenes from Earth. All right, gang, so that will do us for this episode of the Blue Goo Review. So join us next time when we're going over Back to the Butcher. Victor, thank you, sir.
If you got questions or comments, anything you want to be a part of the show, you want questions for us to answer on air, drop us a line. You can find me on Dominion Media Television on Facebook. And you got anything else, Tiger Mike? Miguel El Tigre.
Let's see. We got Tiger Funk Productions / Tiger Funk Media on YouTube, and we'll see y'all out there. So thank you, gang. And that'll do it for this round of the Blue Goo Review.